一生懸命一つのところに命をかける。今ここを生きていけばみんな生き生きするぞ。
Hello. Hello. Alright, I'm just setting some stuff over here. And I think we should be able to start soon. I just want to make sure I got everything clear. I am hoping. Hi, Fran. Let me test something real quick, because I forgot to do something here. Transform vertically. Oh. Transform vertically? No. Transform. Oh, flip vertically. But that makes it backwards, which we don't want. Horizontal. There we go. Okay. Alright, you all ready? Oh, hi. Oh, I just realized that the words are a little bit oversaturated. I got a new camera. It's a lot more clearer now, thankfully. But let's see if we can get some of the... There you go. I'll put the saturation just a little bit too high. But it's really cool that my camera allows me to do this. Me too, Anubis. What do we know? Know what? Know what? Alright. So. Hello. I'm reversed and upside down, but for your view and enjoyments. We're currently about to do some studying for myself, mainly. But also for you guys, of course. Let me see here. We're gonna do the same thing we did last time, which is essentially go through 2 chapters together and then do a run through of the workbook, and like we can do that real quick, right? Camera quality is clear, but wouldn't this angle make it difficult for you to read while showing chat? What do you mean? No, this is right side. This is right side for me. I flipped the perspective on the camera side so that you guys see what I'm seeing. Because the camera's this way, is over here, and I've just flipped it around using the transform button because the camera's not here, it's over there, if that makes sense. So I can read just fine, and you guys can read too, because I mirrored the reverse. So it's been flipped and flipped horizontally so that you can read. Buenos dias, Sambu. Or does anyone remember how to say good afternoon in Japanese? Does anyone remember? Don't look it up. But does anyone remember? Alright. Girl, why haven't you got your nails done yet? Because I'm fucking broke. Do you want to pay for these nails? No, that's good morning. That's good morning, Amber. I get it. What I mean is right now, unless you bring the book much closer to the camera, the words are very difficult to make out. Oh, I mean, this is small, for sure. There's not much I can do about that. Like, I can try to, like, bring it down a little bit. Right? And do like that or something. Right? Well, let me see if I can bring down the sharpness. I don't know what that means! I'll pay for your pinky finger. Oh my god. That's $30 by the way for my pinky finger. Is it the hold on. Is it the noise reduction that's causing this? Okay, that's just the noise reduction. Hi. Sharpness, vibrancy. Ah, okay, that's what's causing a little bit of the... Okay. What about... That's better. Then we just bring up the saturation a little bit. Okay. You're so expensive. I am. Alright, but good afternoon is konbawa, konbawa, konbawa. Ohio is good morning. Konnichiwa is good afternoon, and konbawa is good evening. We're technically in evening right now, at least where I am. Alright. So last chapter was like very beginning, very easy stuff, right? So mainly the last chapter was basically just talking about recognizing how like katakana and hiragana look and things like that. Just recognizing Japanese, essentially. Just recognizing how it looks, basic greetings, and then some vocabulary here and there. But it's mostly just like, are you able to recognize Japanese? Now I'm gonna say this at the beginning of basically like every single like lesson. You need to learn the alphabet. There's literally nothing I can do to help you learn the alphabet besides you just have to learn it. This is the basics. Hiragana, katakana. Hiragana is for most work. It's the phonetic alphabet. It's basically the syllables, every single syllable within the Japanese language, all mixed together to form this. And then distinctly for foreign words, not just English, but any foreign words that the Japanese have borrowed are distinctly written in katakana, which essentially they're the same thing, they're just written differently for that distinction. And literally, you just have to memorize it. I'd love to like show you guys this, or if you guys want to screenshot it or take a picture with your phone or something. I can't really like I can't show you as much as I can. But of course you can see it online, but you just need to, if you want to be following along, like you need to at least put some effort to like memorize the alphabet, which I have, by the way. It takes a little bit, but it's literally just memorization. That's it. There's nothing you can study or any quick way of doing it. It's the vowel A-E-I-O-U, and then you have the consonants and then mix them all together, essentially. Oh, hi, Uda. Welcome in. Hold on. It's not doing the way I want to, but I'll just do this shout out manually. Oh, is it gonna do it? Oh, it's not doing. Oh, am I still in here? Thank you for letting me know. Would you like to study with me?
I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Bitch.
I'm sick.
Oh, so am I. Oh, there's the clip.
Oh boy.
My clip.
You gotta hit that
What is
sweet
this?
spot again.
This is about my balls.
Apparently. Alright, well, I mean, go sleep, Ada.
I'm gonna go back to sleep. I'm gonna go watch your VOD for Japanese lessons.
Okay.
Are you staying here?
No. I'll leave. I had no idea I was still here.
I looked over. I was like, "Oh shit, Tengi's in here." I was like, "Wait, Tengi's dreaming."
It happened.
I love you.
I love you.
Have a good rest of stream.
Yeah. So that's 2 alphabets. What's the third writing system that I've heard? That's kanji, yeah. So kanji more like Mandarin or hieroglyphics. Essentially. Kanji is very much like this is like a little bit more advanced, but there's like a Suyomi and Oyomi pronunciation for kanji. Kanji is essentially, as you might have guessed, like the alphabet that's taken from the Chinese alphabet, essentially, right? There is the Unyomi and Oyomi. I think that's they're basically just 2 distinct versions of pronunciation. So not only do you have to learn the kanji itself, this is like 3rd to 4th level Japanese, where you essentially study the kanji, because the kanji itself has 2 pronunciation. You have the Japanese pronunciation, which can have its own meaning, and then the Chinese pronunciation, which also can have its own meaning. I can't give an example. I can give an example. Hold on, let me look into my book here. I have like a couple of stuff here. Let me see if I can get the it's not showing. I didn't do the. These are all like kanji that I was studying. They're like beginner kanji, stuff like that. But here's an example, right? Like for these ones right here, Like, this is today. This is the kanji for day. This is how you spell it in hiragana. Oh, hold on. What is this? What did you do? Oh boy, I can't wait to be such a poor student that 15 years from now when my kid shows up in the same class, then you can be like, I haven't dealt with such an idiot in 15 years. Oh my god. But this is how basically how you spell it in hiragana, right? This is the phonetic way to pronounce kyo, right? But of course, trying to type that every single time can be tiresome, so that's why you do the kanji, which allows you to distinct between words. Because of course, just like in English, you have synonyms. Or no, not synonyms. What is the word for phonetic words that sound the same but have different meanings? I don't know exactly what that's called. But the way you distinct them is because the word is spelled with different kanji but are pronounced the same way. It's the same concept, right? And then, of course, by the time you get to like the higher area, these kind of like takai, yasui, hiroi, you know, things like that. Hiroi can also mean like depending on like what consonant you put after this kanji can just change the meaning altogether. So that's where like the whole kanji studying comes from. You learn the basics, you learn the alphabet, you learn a good amount of the grammar, and then you basically have to wrap it all together with kanji studying and being able to recognize the context of the sentence, that this is how you pronounce specifically this kanji within the context of the sentence. The guy from One Piece? I don't know. I don't follow One Piece. So that was basically lesson 1, just kind of like recognizing the language. So lesson 2, the next 2 chapters are going to be focusing on greetings, right? And describing basic aspects of your life, like going a deep dive into like introducing yourself in public, recognizing parts of the social culture, and then the last chapter of this, the last section of this chapter is basically telling you a brief summary about yourself, so self-introductions and things like that, right? So we'll go through this. All right. So oh, I think I can actually pull this up. Hold on 1 second, guys. There is a way for me to katsudo. A1 katsudo. For me to essentially like play. Is this right? Yes, it is. Cool. Is this not what it's gonna show? This is can do. Read business card. No. This is not what I'm looking for. Oh, these are communication activities. Never mind. Katsudo. Topic 1. Hold on. Which one is this one? Oh, I have to log in. Do I remember my login? Oh, I can log in. Yeah, that's what I mean. Oh, excuse me. I just gotta log in real quick. Continue. Okay. Katsudo. Play. There you go. We're gonna listen along real quick.
一度お願いします。1、はい、います。
Hold on.
聞いて言いましょう。1、
キムさん、いますか？
はい、
I think this is the wrong one. Oh! This is lesson 3?
1。はじめまして、山田です。お名前はワンです。ワンさんですね。どうぞよろしく。どうぞよろしくお願いします。
Okay. Yeah, huge language. Every huge languages I've had similar stuff. My Russian ones are funny because of the video listening is just YouTube, not on a separate company website. Yeah. Let's see here. So this one you just have to kind of listen to. Sorry, I'm sight reading right now. Let me just see what's going on because I need to double check. Okay. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna tell you guys what we're learning here today. So we're just here. The first lesson here is basically recognizing the sentence structure of a basic greeting in Japanese, right? So essentially, what it's looking at is that it's just this just means like exactly what it's saying. Look at the picture, listen to what it's saying, listen again, and who's with you. So the first person we have Yamada-san. So we're gonna listen to that, and then we're gonna guess out of these people, who are they introducing, right?
1、はじめまして、山田です。
Hajimemashite, Yamada desu. So hajimemashite means basically nice to meet you, right? Or it's my first. Essentially, it is meaning it literally means first time meet, right? Like direct translation, hajimemashite is this is my first time meeting you. This is our first time meeting. It is our equivalent of saying nice to meet you, you know. So you go ahead and when you are making a very basic introduction to yourself, hajimemashite, right?
はじめまして、山田です。
And then you just say your name, right?
お名前は
And then what she's asking, is just saying saying you know, things like that. お名前は right? Listen to that again.
お名前は
Right? I'm gonna spell that out in Romanji. Right? Oh, sorry. I forgot the... Right? Namae. It's literally just name. O is as you might have like remembered from before, is our subject marker, right? You don't need to go into a super deep dive in terms of the grammar, but basically it is the o particle followed by name and wa. Now you can be a lot more direct with the sentence structure. You can say something like あんたの名前はですか? Or Like you could say, what's a good way to put this? Hold on. Oh, let me put back on the music, by the way. So you have background. There you go. So, onamae, right? Damn, need to step away from... Yeah, of course. So, onamae is basically name, right? It's been shortened in this way, right? Onamae wa, right? You're saying wa with a questioning inflection. It is just like a very basic way of like adding a question, but it can be seen, right, as a little informal. It's not the end of the world, right? Like, it's like the equivalent of like, oh, nice to meet you. My name is such and such. My name is Tenji. What's your name? You know, that's a formal way of saying. And in saying like, just saying onamae wa, you're just basically going instead of you're saying like name. That's the thing. And while that's not the end of the world, there is a more polite way of saying it. And the more polite way of saying it would be saying onamae wa nan desu ka? Nan desu ka? What is? And then you followed it by the subject, name. What is? So name, and then followed by the subject particle wa, and then what the question, what is? And then you put that all together. What is your name? In more polite words. So, onemae wa nan desu ka? Or in this case, they're just saying onemae wa. You know? All right, well. So, after that established, she asked the question. Hold on. And then, boop. Let me make sure here.
1はじめまして山田です。
山田です。
お名前はワンです。
And she just pronounced her, she just says her name. One. It's right there. 2. One des. Now, remember, des and arimasu are basically sentence enders. It's the equivalent of our period and kind of thing. Essentially what you're looking for is that des is only used for conscious creatures. So whenever you're referring to something that is conscious, a human, you end with des or desu. But when you're talking about like a pen, a car, even a dog, you would use arimasu or masu kind of thing. Right? Second one. So who's Kimu with? Listen and try to guess who Kim is. Kimu is the katakana way of saying Kim. You can basically look up with katakana how to essentially say your own name, right? So, like, of course, once you get a proper understanding of katakana, you can try to write out your own name in katakana using the phonetics, right? Of course, you would not have the kanji to spell your name like some other Japanese names would have. Yeah. All right, let's do the next one.
2キムです。はじめまして。
野田です。どうぞよろしく。
すみません。もう一度お願いします。
野田です。野田。
野田。
野田さんですね。どうぞよろしくお願いします。
This one has some extra stuff in here that we can actually follow along with, right? So.
すみません。まして。
野田です。どうぞよろしく。
So, hajimemashite is a way of saying, like, it's my first time meeting you, right? But then this person responds with dozo yoroshiku. right? Now, dozo yoroshiku is a very polite way of saying hajimemashite, right? So because hajime is essentially means to begin, right? Hajimemashite, nice to meet you. We are, and like it literally translates to we are beginning. This is our first time. Like hajimemashite, nice to meet you, right? It is like essential greeting, social, business, does not matter. Now, dozo yoroshiku is nice to meet you, right? It's a response. You don't really, you can say dojo yoroshiku tenji desu or something like that. It is very much a more formal way of saying hajimemashite, mostly because the context of the kanji that dozo yoroshiku is essentially saying here is that please treat me well, please look after me, I'm in your hands, right? So you would say, if you are the second person, right? If you are the second person like being greeted in this situation, right? It's essentially being saying like, hi, my name is Tenji, and you say, oh, my name is Crossbones, nice to meet you, or pleasure is mine, kind of thing. That's essentially the back and forth. So you say hajimemashite, Crossbones desu. Oh, dozo yoroshiku Tenji desu. Right? Look after me, I'm in your hands. Right? Now, with that in mind, the person missed it the first time. So, essentially, they're being like, oh, I didn't hear you right. So they're saying, oh, let me try that again. Sorry, hold on. Sometimes these sites are a little old.
2すみませんもう一度お願
すみませんもう一度
いします
onegaishimasu. This is what we learned before. Onegaishimasu is a very formal way of saying a request, right? There are command verbs like listen, speak, sit down, like suwatte. As I said last lesson, suwatte means to sit down. Is by ending suwa and with te, like by ending the verb with te, you're basically issuing a command, right? But of course, by saying it in that sort of tone, in that sort of way, you are giving out an informal command. And in order to make it a formal command, you would say suwatte kudasai. Now that is only if you are the higher up of a person, or you are a teacher, or you are a senior at a company, because it is very impolite to be giving other people commands that are higher than you, right? And within the Japanese social and work culture. So instead, right, if you are asking somebody to sit or basically do anything, but you are wanting to be more polite in that situation, you would end, instead of kudasai, onegai shimasu. Is pleading for it. It's not as dramatic as pleading, but it's essentially the same energy. So they're saying sumimasen, excuse me, or I'm sorry, right? Mo ichido, mo, just like one more time, onegai shimasu, please. Sumimasen, mo ichido, onegai shimasu. The person speaking is very like formally pleading for them to repeat what they just said. Sumimasen, mo ichido onegai shimasu. Ah, no da desu. No da. Ah, no da san desu ne. So desu ne is kind of is like it's very weird because you can just say this, no da san desu. Right? That's a statement. Like, it is literally, like, I can't, let me try to explain this. That's just a statement. That name, san, it's just an honorific. That's what we call, that is basically the social hierarchy upon a name. You probably heard it in anime, and this has probably been told to you many times through your own weeaboo osmosis. San, chan, kun, something sensei, something dono. It's honorifics. It's basically establishing that hierarchy within the social system, right? San is the generic base level respect and honorific that you would give to most people, right? And then kun and chan is for being like with children, or if you're really close with friends and you're trying to be like cutesy or funny or whatever, and things like that. So basically just saying this, des is a statement. Tenji-san desu. My name is Tenji, right? But by adding ne to the end of that, it kind of gives it a different inflection. It gives it a different context. Japanese is all about context in this situation. So by saying, "Oh, Noda-san desu ne," you're basically saying, "Oh, it's Noda-san." You're acknowledging that you heard what they said this time. You're reinstating, because I'm gonna say this before, because of the way that the Japanese language has their sentence structure. You basically have the subject in the beginning of the sentence, and you don't really know the motion or action or verb of that subject and how it correlates into the very end of the sentence. So, in a normal Japanese conversation, you will be repeating the main point of the sentence a lot, in a way of basically letting the speaker or of the conversation understand that you understand, is by saying, "Oh, such and such desu yo ne. Oh, atsui desu ne. Out of nods, out of mm-hms, because the way the Japanese language is structured, it requires a lot of context and waiting until the end of a statement is said for you to give the full information in order to give a proper response or proper engagement. So a very usual and very easy way to show that you are acknowledging what has just been said is by saying, "Oh, desu ne," or you and things like that. So it's like, "Ah, atsui ga," and they're basically like, "Oh, it's so hot," and you basically, "Atsui desu ne. Yeah, you're right, it is." Things like that. So that's like literally like it's kind of surprising how one simple syllable can really like affect the afflection of a word, right? Okay, let's go to the next one. Oh, hope I don't crotch shot myself. Okay, there you go. Oh, the problem with these websites is that they are based in Japan, so I do have to like reissue stuff. I have to reload things. Mm-hmm. Right.
No da desu.
No da da.
野田さんですね。どうぞよろしくお願いします。
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's also a really cool way of like explaining, because like there are multiple levels of politeness in Japanese. Now you heard from the sound of the person's voice, right? We were just talking with Kimo right here, and this is the guy. He's much older, right? In Japanese culture, age is like the absolute like top of everything. And even if like you are the CEO of a company, right? If you're talking to someone who's older than you, that person who's older automatically is higher up than you. They have it's very much based on like honoring elderly, right? So you might have noticed that he said, "Noda desu, dozo yoroshiku." They basically shorten it, "Dozo yoroshiku," right? That is formal. It's like, "Pleasure to meet you, look after me, blah blah blah." But then she said, "Ah, Noda-san desu ne. Dozo yoroshiku onegai shimasu." She added a extra level of formality onto there because she can't just say "Dozo yoroshiku" to this elderly person, because that would be disrespectful, right? So of course you can always be more polite in Japanese language. So because he was older, she added a little bit more formality onto that. Nice to meet you, right at the end there.
3
3.
はじめまして。私はムハンマドです。
ムハンマドです。
お名前は？
お名前は？
佐藤です。
え？
佐藤です。
佐藤さんですね。よろしくお願いします。
Listen on again.
3
はじめまして。私はムハンマドです。お名前は？
お名前は？
佐藤です。
佐藤です。え？
佐藤です。
佐藤さんですね。よろしくお願いします。
佐藤さんですね。is very much a catch-all, but is like how do I describe it? It's huh? Yeah, that's the way. But is huh? So when he said that, she understood, like, you know, he might have wanted to, like, he might have needed an extra little bit of help. Can you please pronounce that further? And so she did. It was Sato-san. Sato-san. Sato-san desu ne. Dozo yoroshiku onegaishimasu. Right? So it's like, whatever. Alright. Next one.
4
4.
はじめまして、クリスティーナです。
クリスティーナです。
すみません。もう一度。クリスティーナです。クリスティーナさんですね。私は阿部です。よろしくお願いします。
阿部。So again, like a way of politely saying, like, repeat yourself one more time. すみません。もう一度お願いします。Because remember, you don't want to say もう一度. Like, that's rude. You're just saying one more time. One more time. It's very much laid within the language. すみません。もう一度お願いします. Way of politely ending that request. Hi, friend. We're just reiterating things here. So, to when you're starting greetings, right? We're gonna go ahead and summarize this part here. Yeah, because there's always extra levels you can put on formality and politeness. So, はじめまして。私はフランです。Or はじめまして。フランドボートです。Ah. And then they would be saying, and then you can, friend would, in this situation, ask for their name. Ah, お名前は? Or お名前は何ですか? お名前は is like, what's your name? お名前は? Because like wa is technically not grammatically, right? It's not as if like it's incorrect, but there are many instances in the Japanese language by just adding a question inflection at the end of a statement, it makes it into a question without adding like the extra parts in it. Technically, the grammatic way of asking the question would be onamae, which is name, wa, nan desu ka? What is? Nan desu ka? What is? And then you basically have the subject, which is like, what are you requesting? The name. So, onamae wa nan desu ka is asking, what is your name? But you can also, in the situation, depending on the context or where you fall within the social hierarchy, within a social situation, you can say, onamae wa? So, はじめまして、フランです。お名前は何ですか? And I would respond, Tenji desu. Yoroshiku dozo yoroshiku. And because I'm older than Fran, I can say dozo yoroshiku. I could if I really wanted to be polite, but you know, I'm also wanting to maintain the social hierarchy in the situation. I'm older than Fran, so I would just say dozo yoroshiku. Nice to meet you. And then maybe Fran didn't hear me, so go like, すみません。もう一度お願いします. Formally requesting me to repeat myself. Tenji desu. Tenji desu. Tenji-san desu ne. Dozo yoroshiku onegaishimasu. So you, Fran, in this situation can say the same thing. It's a pleasure to meet you. Please take out, or dozo yoroshiku basically means look after me. Please look after me and things like that. But because they are lower on the social hierarchy in this situation, they would go ahead and add another level of politeness at the end by saying onegaishimasu, because even dozo yoroshiku is a request and it is polite to say, but because they are my the opposite of superior is inferior or lesser, but it's not in that context obviously, but in this situation Fran is my lesser, so they would want to add that extra level of politeness. Dozo yoroshiku onegaishimasu, essentially, right? Okay, so this right here, this is the can do, right? Hold on. So this is just gonna go through little bits here.
1、
1.
ワンさんはどちらからですか？
Oh, oops, wrong
中
one.
国です。
Excuse me. That was the wrong one. This is a can do. I think this is it.
2、勉強中です。1、聞きましょう。
Oh, duh. Sorry. This is the listen. This is the can do, right? This is essentially us practicing what we just said. はじめまして、山田です。お名前は？ワンです。ワンさんですね。どうぞよろしく。どうぞよろしく。If you're equal, you can just say, oh, dozo yoroshiku. But if you feel that you are a more polite individual or you want to be on the polite side, you, of course, either of these, you can add onegaishimasu at the end. And that will add that extra level of politeness. Let's move on to the other. Benkyochu, where are they from? So this one says, dochira, hold on, dochira ka, hold on, dochikara desu ka, dochikara desu ka. So this is where, like, this is essentially saying where are they from. This is like us we're gonna do the listening exercise in just a moment, where we're gonna be listening to them saying where are they from, and then we will just go ahead and acknowledge that that is how it's sound or it's said in Japanese. These persons are gonna say where are they coming from. Dochu is basically where, like dochikara is like where, so is essentially going like where are they from, and then desu ka is the question mark right there. Do you have any experience when it comes to how politeness is viewed when dealing with someone who's obviously not good at the language? There is, and I've learned this through a couple of like vloggers and content creators that I know who live out there in Japan and things of that nature. A lot of the times, and I'm sure like us being in a Spanish speaking country, it is kind of similar thing. Foreigners get a pass. Foreigners do have a little bit of leeway. When you are when it's like you're just a fucking like tourist, they have no expectations for you whatsoever, and they usually are pleasantly surprised that you know anything at all about the language, right? When you're living here, there's still a still amount of good amount of leniency towards maybe the second to third year of you being here, because learning a language takes a long time. But by the time you get to the 5th to 6th to even the 10th year of you living there, that's when the leeway stops. Oh, here, if they figure out that you've been living here for 5+ years and you still don't know the basic etiquette, even though you were not like Japanese born, that is a faux pas. So like I would say 1 to 2 years is of living in Japan is where you can get off with a lot of things. But the longer you're being here, of course, the longer you need to know how to like assimilate. Oh, sorry. Technically, well, yes. All right. I'm don't you guys know I'm live streaming from my shrine in Kuriyama, north of Tokyo. Don't you guys know my lore? You can look it up on the map. It's literally it's a shrine located in the village of Haikyo, north of Tokyo, in Warukumiyama. That's where my shrine is. You can travel there right now. I'm probably gonna fucking kidnap you and sell you on some sort of black market because I need rent money. But you can still check it out yourself. Alright, let's do the listening exercise.
中国の上海です。1、ワンさんはどちらからですか？
That is the question. Wansan wa, you're saying you're directing the question towards the Wansan, or Fransan, dochikara desu ka? How would you answer that question, Fran? It's a long story, Crossbones. So the question here, I can say also, Crossbone-san wa dochikara desu ka? I'm asking, where are you from, Crossbones? Where are you from, Fran? How do you think you can how do you think you can respond to that? We'll listen to the response for Wan-san. Hold on.
中国です。中国の上海です。
No. So it's not watashi wa, because watashi wa means I am, right? So, in sort of a statement, you would just say Argentina this. It's a response. So you are not Argentina. So the response would just be subject des, right? Now, if you want to be specific, right? Like Wan-san was.
中国の上海です。
Chugoku no Shanghai desu is essentially saying Shanghai, China. Des is like the the sentence ender. Des is the sentence ender for most statements, right? Masu is the sentence ender of most sentences that have a verb in them, right? So if you are just declaring facts, no, Crossbones. So, if you want to say specifically the city in Argentina, right? You would just say Argentina no, which is the particle for ownership or relations in that sort of sentence, and then followed by the city, des. So, I would say, Fran-san, dochikara desu ka? Hi, Pan-Pan. And you would say, no, god damn it. And you would say Argentina no Belarus des. I don't fucking know where you live, friend. I hope all you lovely people are having a wonderful day. I am. We're having a nice time just teaching like Japanese. That's good. Yeah, it is. Hell yeah, it is. But Crossbone, I'm asking you. Crossbone-san wa dochikara desu ka? Where do you live, Crossbone? In the US? Where do you live? Tell me your address. Tell me your address. Tell me your address right now, Crossbones. Tell. Why is not that working? No, god damn it. Give me your phone. Hold on, let me check something here. Zoom. No, is that not working? Ah, okay, there we go. Chatting and feature model. Default position. So if I do this, whoa, and then that, and then bam. Cool. Okay, it's set back up. That was weird. Tell me your address. Anyway, okay, so let's move on. Let's go ahead and go through these again. So this also has some vocabulary in it, right? So let's listen real quick.
1、
1、
ワンさんはどちらからですか？中国です。中国の上海です。
中国。
そうですか。
そうですか。そうですか. That's a way, like, that's another way of, like I've mentioned before. No, actually, it would be America. Yes. Or you can be specific and say your state. For me, it would be like I don't know, I'll pick a random state. Like, New York des. Or, like, of course, you can just say, if you speak the language, you can say New York des. Or New York no Albany des, or some shit like that, if you want to include the city. Now, of course, to the Japanese ear, you can try to say it in katakana, but usually if you just say, like, the thing is, like, they do have their own specific words sometime. So, Deutsche, Germany. Egypto. Australia, you know? Whereas in all the transitions, we just call the US, America, and need special distinction for the continent. Now, let's go to the next one. So, oh, by the way, so desu ne, or it's like, chugoku desu ne. It's the reaffirmation of the information, right? So desu ne, is that so? Oh, okay. So it's like, so desu ne is basically, oh, is that right? Is that so? Things like that. So you can also have that into your repertoire of very easy ways to tell people that you are listening. So desu ne. Oh, such and such desu ne. Things like that, right?
2、
キムさんはどちらから？
え？
お国は？
お国は？お国は？お国は? Right? That is continent. That is like country.
私は韓国人です。
Now that's some extra interesting vocabulary that you guys just heard, right? Okuni wa, you know, you can hear by the sound of the person, they are older, so they are shortening the question, right? They are flexing their hierarchy of position, but the formal way of saying Okuni wa nan desu ka? Nan desu ka is basically is asking what is something. So you can just say, blah, 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 blah. If you're asking for a piece of information, you can say what the subject of that information you're requesting is. Wa nan desu ka? Right? Onamae wa nan desu ka? Okuni wa nan desu ka? Kuni means country. Okuni means country. Okuni wa nan desu ka? Right? So they're asking, what country are you from? Like, okuni, and they're saying, Kankokujin desu. So, ending, there's, of course, like, it goes into kanji endings, but you can basically have the country itself, and then have, like, a specific character at the end of it to mean different words. Kankokugo means the Korean language. Kankoku means Korea. Kankokujin means a person from Korea or a Korean. Chugokujin, a person from China, Chinese. Australiajin, someone from Australia. Americajin, someone from America. It's our way of saying American, Korean, Chinese, Australian, Egyptian, things like that. So in way to distinct, like there are many ways of going through it, but like that's one way that this lesson is showing you. To state that specifically is a person, whatever you're referencing is a person from that country. So this entire sentence go, フランさんはどっちからですか？お国は what country are you from? お国はアルゼンチナ人です。I'm from Argentina. I'm Argentinian.
韓国ですか。
アルゼンティーナですか。そうです。It's like another, like it's showing us back and forth a ways to confirm language that we've been giving. Like, because in a normal situation, you're just like, Argentinian. There's a little bit of a question in there, but you're acknowledging the statement. 韓国人ですか. So that's adding desu ka is adding like a question to it. It's not really asking you to explain further, because like the literal translation is saying Korean or Argentinian, but in this the context of the situation, they're just acknowledging what you just said. Argentinian, huh? Oh, okay. Things like that, right? Next one.
3
ムハンマドさんはどちらから？
どっちから？
エジプトです。
エジプトです。
エジプトのカイロです。
エジプトのカイロです。
エジプトから。そうですか。
エジプトから。そうですか。You can say ですか? Egyptian or something から。そうですか. You know, it's restating the answer so that you are confirming what they're saying, right? It's so soft and it's to not the direct statements, essentially. Yeah, but it is mostly just like a formality to repeat certain key points within a sentence so that you are showing that you are following along. And it's both a polite thing, but also a necessary thing, because sometimes things need clarification, you know? Like, when you're going into an actual deep conversation with someone from Japan and you are in that level of fluency where you're having this conversation, there's context is going to be needed. So you're going to ask someone to reiterate or like contextualize things like that. Just like in English, it's just like, oh, so wait, are you talking about the place next to Walmart? Or are you talking about the place at the Walmart where we were just been? Like, you know, things like that. Like shit like that. But essentially, right, there are certain phrases for you to basically, instead of asking the question or asking them to reiterate, if you already understand, you're like, oh yeah, I get what you mean. This, such and such, this. Okay, continue. Things like that. Right.
4
4.
クリスティーナさんはどちらからですか？ドイツです。
ドイツです。
ドイツのどちらから？
ドイツのどっちから？
ケルンです。
Right?
ドイツのどちらから？
Right? どっちから？ドイツのから？ That was interesting. Let's listen to that again.
ドイツです。
She said Germany. Right? So Japanese allows a solid like method of conversation work well? Yes, actually. Actually, yes. You can think of it as a fucking solid snake conversation.
ドイツのどちらから？
Listen to that again. So she's already asked, Christina wa dochi kara desu ka? Dochi kara desu ka? Where are you from? She said, Deutsche des, Germany. Germany? She says,
ですドイツのどちらから
Deutsche no, dochi no, hold on, sorry. Let me say that again.
ですドイツのどちらから
Dochi kara?
ドイツのどちらから
Dochira kara? Right? The edonym for Germany rather than the exonym? Yeah. Oh, that's because of the trade that took place early in their history. That's a little bit of a history lesson there, because they during their isolation period, they only traded with the Dutch, and that's it. I don't remember exactly why. I think they just trusted them the most, and that's how essentially Japan got their electricity and like their first ever systems of like of travel and lighting that wasn't candle. It was from the Dutch and their engineers. A little bit of a cool little history tip there. Yeah, exactly. Crossbones. So in this situation, she's basically saying, Dochi no dochi kara desu, dochi kara? Adding that upper inflection. You know, it's not a full, complete question, but you know, it's depending on the situation. If you're equals, if you're comfortable, if the formality is not as set as to a higher bar, she's basically saying, where in Germany are you from? And so she says,
ですケルンですか
hold
ど
on,
ちらから
hold on, sorry.
ドイツのど
Doitsu no. So there's that, like, there's this whole studying aspect. There are a lot of particles, right? No is an important particle and is a very, very used particle. Let me find this out. That makes sense. I thought they traded with Portuguese before Dutch, but that makes sense. So it acts like, so it's essentially a possessive or preposition. It's a linker showing relationship between attributes or people. So the best way I can describe it to an English speaker is the apostrophe S that we have in the in our language that shows possession. That's my dog. Watashi no inu. Right? If you say watashi wa inu, that's saying I am a dog. But if you say watashi no inu, that's my dog or my dog. Or crossbone no dog. That's Crossbone's dog. Or I'm sorry, crossbone no inu desu. That's Crossbone's dog. So no is a possessive marker. So in that relation, this is where it kind of can get confusing, but it's just like it's a very versatile particle that can mean preposition or possessive kind of a relationship between things. So in their question, they're saying Doitsu no dochi kara desu ka, or Doitsu no dochi kara, right? Where in Tokyo? I mean, where in Germany? And they say Karin desu, which is I guess a city in Germany. I don't know. But that's essentially what they're trying to say there.
どちらからケルンですケルンですか
Alright, next.
5
ジョイさんはどちらから？
すみません。もう一度お願いします。
はい。どちらからですか？
私はオーストラリア人です。
そうですか。
Right, so there it is. It's basically saying, hey, Joy-san, where are you from? I'm sorry, can you repeat that one more time, please? Yes. Where are you from? I'm Australian. Oh, I see. That's the direct translation. So again.
5
Go.
ジョイさんはどちらから？
Joy-san wa dochira kara? Dochira kara desu ka? Where are you from?
すみません。
すみません。もう一度お願いします。I'm sorry. One more time, please? She didn't hear the first time. Right?
もう一度お願いします。
もう一度お願いします。Please, can you repeat that one more time?
はい。
Hi, of
ど
course.
ちらからですか？
And then you just repeat the question. どちらからですか？
私はオーストラリア人です。
私は I am オーストラリア人です。I'm Australian. 私はオーストラリア人です。I'm Australian. Because you add jin at the end of countries to mark that is a person from that country. Welcome back, fan. Right? Alright, let's look at the... Let me have some chips real quick. I'm gonna have some crunchies. Nom, nom, nom. Mmm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Oh. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'm back. All this talking makes me hungry. All right, so. Let's see what we got here. Okay, this one is basically saying, "Dekimasu ka?" Right? "Dekimasu ka" is the question is, can you do it? Right? "Dekimasu ka?" "Dekimasu" means can do, turning it into okay. "Dekimasu" means can do by adding the hiragana ka at the end of it. Makes it into a question. Do you mind going off topic, Moment? I had a specific question about Japanese. Sure, go right ahead. What's your question? What is domo used for? Domo is... How do I say this? Domo is essentially the first part of a very old way of speaking in Japanese. We're talking like feudal Japan kind of things. So there is like a full sentence here. Let me see if I can find it. Like, let me see if I can find a good way of putting it. Hold on, because the thing is, hold on. There's a phrase. There it is. Okay. Okay, there you go. So, domo comes from an archaic way of Edo speaking like Edo speaking like, so domo ienu means basically indescribable or unable to speak in spite of oneself, right? So essentially, within historically, domo is very like essentially means quiet or very or somehow. It's like an accentuation, but it is more like it is saying like so much thank you and everything like that. So when you say domo arigato gozaimasu, right, it is a very polite way, full phrase gratitude towards somebody, where it means thank you very much, right? So domo can basically mean much or very much, and then gozaimasu is like a lot more formal way of speaking from way back when. Like, so go like basically because domo arigato gozaimasu, right, is the full phrase. Gozaimasu, right, it's like the formal version of des or aru, right? So by adding that rather than des, it's like it's just like I said, like there are multiple layers of politeness in Japanese, and gozaimasu is one of many ways. So by saying domo arigato gozaimasu is just like a very formal showing extreme gratitude, or hontoni domo arigato gozaimasu, like it's basically just like, oh my god, thank you so much, kind of thing, kind of idea. Arigato gozaimasu is the polite and current way of saying things, right? Then you can say mashita by is the past tense and things like that. So ohayo gozaimasu is you know, it's like it's polite and things like that. By adding domo, it's just kind of just like archaic way of adding much or very. But because of its relation to the phrase, right? In shorthand Japanese is basically, like I mentioned before, you can shorten questions by not even putting the desu, but that removes some of the politeness. So dochikara wa, or onamae wa, right? That's shorthand Japanese. You're not completing the question, but for the sake of urgency or for the sake of formality or like looking past it, you're shortening it. So essentially, domo arigato gozaimasu, people within like very formal way of saying, like if you're friendly with somebody, if you just say, oh, domo, you get what they're trying to say without just saying the entire fucking phrase. But like I said, it can be seen as informal within the wrong spheres and levels of hierarchy. Like, you don't say to your boss like, oh, domo, you know? It's like just saying thanks, or thanks, dude. Ah, domo, or please, you know, blah blah blah, or go right ahead, or to be, and things like that. Domo is very flexible, but because like I said, because of its way of how it was written in the past, you would start it with domo something gozaimasu, right? So by the context of the situation, you can say it in a very informal setting, mind you, domo, like go ahead, or domo, thank you so much, or domo, please, things like that. Because like depending on the inflection and the context, domo is a shorthand word of saying many things. Because domo can basically mean, oh, thank you, or domo, please go ahead. Because the whole entire phrase, like, would be like, domo osaki ni dozo, you know? Would basically like, please go ahead in front of me. Like very much go in front of me. That's a polite way of saying domo osaki ni dozo, right? Would you say domo to a waiter, since last week you used to express a list, right? Yeah, you could. You very much. You can just say onegaishimasu as well. I was supposed to say tambien. But like you say thanks, or whenever you're requesting somebody, he's like, let's say you're at fucking McDonald's, right? Let's see. Right, let's see here. Da-da-da-da-da-da. It'd be like the person at the counter or person in the drive-thru would be going like, "Gochimon wo okage shimasu." Please state your order. May I take your order? Gochimon wo okage shimasu. And then you would just say, kore onegai shimasu. Or Big Mac setto onegai shimasu. Right? It's like Big Mac set. Big Mac. It's basically saying the Big Mac meal. Big Mac setto onegai shimasu. And it's like, hi. And then basically saying, you can just say like, when they say like, okay, Big Mac sento desu ka? Hi. And you, as you're fucking pulling away, it's like, domo. Or arigato. Or something like that. Like, they're interchangeable. Alright, back to topic. So this is a phrase. This is a question here. Dekimasu ka? Can you do it? Can do. It's basically just saying can do? Question mark. Dekimasu ka? Right? Hi. Yes. Dekimasu. I can. Or ie no. Or dekimasen. So this is an example of negatives in Japanese. Right? Because you have the positive, dekimasu, and then you can basically turn it into the negative, the opposite, by adding sen. Dekimasen. I can't do it. Right? So that's another way of like of understanding. Whenever you hear the word something something sen, you understand that it is the negative of that verb, right? It is the opposite of the verb. It is the emptiness or the failure of that verb. So they're saying dekimasu ka? Hi, or dekimasu, or ie no dekimasen. So we're gonna listen real quick. They're basically asking, can they speak the language? This is not can they speak the language, by the way. This is not the full sentence of can they speak the language. This is just the translation of what it means in the context of the lesson. But within the context, because you're speaking Japanese and context is everything, when we're talking about language and they say dekimasu ka, right? We've already established within the lesson plan that we're talking about language. So by me saying dekimasu ka, even though I haven't really stated what can or can't someone do, by the context of the conversation that we've been having over the last hour, you can tell that I'm talking about language. So when I'm saying dekimasu ka, you understand by context, can you speak the language? Can you speak this language? Dekimasen ka? Exactly. Can you not do it? Yeah. Dekimasen ka? Are you not able to do it? Something like that? That's another way of putting it. Good job, Fran. Right? Hi, Ada. Welcome back. So let's listen to these ones right here.
1、
田中さんは英語できますか?
Now this is the way of putting into a sentence. Can you speak such and such language? Right? Tanaka-san wa language dekimasu ka? So, listen to that again.
1、
田中さんは英語できますか?
Ego. Ego is a vocabulary term. Ego means English. Ego. Ego. Go, as I mentioned before, it is the definition. It is defining the previous subject as the language of that. So, ego, go, right there. Like you won't see it, but like ego, right? The kanji is language whenever you spell it out. Of course, you don't have to learn that right now, but for the information, for the sake of the lesson, go, right? How you say it in the Japanese pronunciation kanji is language. So by putting the country go, you basically are defining that sentence as the language of that country. So they're basically asking, Tanaka-san wa, so they're directing the question towards Tanaka-san. Tanaka-san wa, eigo dekimasu ka? Can you speak English?
はい、 少しできます。
Sukoshi dekimasu. Skoshi is another vocabulary that we learned in a previous chapter. Skoshi means little bit, just tiny bit. So, by putting it all together, hai, yes, skoshi dekimasu. I can a little. So you can basically say is like, Fran wa Nihongo dekimasu ka? How would you respond? Exactly. That's like you're the first part of there is like the direct translation of that sentence, right? But because Japanese is written the way it's spoken and we have to translate it into our own language, that is essentially what we're saying. Can you speak English? Even though you're saying name English, can you do it? You know, you're putting everything together and then you can understand. Yeah. No. So there you go. Alright. Next one. Hold on, let's finish this one.
そうですか。
So desu ka? It's acknowledging. Remember that we're always acknowledging within the Japanese language. So desu ka? So desu ne. So desu ka? Ah, eigo ka. Tsukoshi. Dekimasu. Yamada-san.
山田さんは中国語できますか？
中国 is China. 中国語 is the Chinese language, is Chinese. So they're basically saying, Yamada-san wa 中国語できますか？
はい、できます。
はい。
中国語は面白いです。
はい、できます。中国は面白いです。It's a statement. They're basically saying Chinese is interesting. Chinese is entertaining. I like speaking Chinese. Right? That's the vibe of that statement. Listen to that again.
はい、できます。
はい、できます。
中国語は面白いです。
中国語は subject, which is 中国語 which is the Chinese language. Subject は中国語は面白いです. That's a statement. Chinese is interesting. Is there a word for referring to you, the second person, or do you always use the name of the person you're talking to? Usually, no, actually. You don't reference anyone. Because you can, in terms of like, if it's just you and a person, you can shorten this. You don't have to, like, if you're in a group of people, sure, you might want to, like, you can't just say, can you speak Chinese to a group of people? So of course you would go ahead and direct the question towards somebody specifically. But if you're talking to an individual, right, you can just say the question. Eigoku go dekimasu ka? Right? You won't say, you won't do, can you speak English, which would be, anata wa eigo dekimasu ka? Anata wa means you, right? It's a pointing at the person. Or anta ga, right, is another way of saying you, pointing at the person, right? But that's rude. So that's why bad translation can mess up my, his, her. Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, like, even though there is a word for pointing at the person and like declaring you, even though we're in a one-by-one conversation, saying antaga or anata, right, can be seen as rude because it's basically pointing at people, right? You. And like maybe if you've heard the whole the Disney type of thing, maybe you've heard of it, but like they're not allowed to point. They have to do the full open presentation. The same etiquette is used in Japan, both literally and literally, like literally and literality, whatever. What the fuck? The word for literal, like no fucking. Not illiterate, but the literal. Yeah. So Disney does not do the pointing thing when they're directing customers or guests. They do the full point with the full motion because it's rude in a lot of countries to be pointing at things. To use your index finger, things like that. Literally, yeah, no, it literally, like they literally do it, but they also do it literally in literature. This is what I was trying to say. It was a weird tongue twister. So they don't point at people literally, and they also don't point at people literally. I know that sounds weird. Do you know what I mean? I can't describe it any more than that. Literally and literally. Yeah, thank you. I literally. Fuck. Literally and literally. They don't point. Is what I'm trying to say. Oh my god. So, in the context of a one-on-one conversation, you don't have to say, Fran wa eigo dekimasu ka? You can just say, eigo dekimasu ka? Because you're not supposed to point. Like we already established it's just me and you talking. Why do I have to say your name? Or why do I have to say, do you speak English? That's pointing. But you can just say the question. Eigo dekimasu ka? Can you speak English? Even though direct translation, there's no you in there, because of the context of the question, you don't have to. If that makes sense. And that is actually one of the first steps to sounding fluent and native speaking in Japanese, by not saying watashi wa or anta wa or things like that. If you know how to formally shorthand Japanese, those are huge steps into speaking, into like interlocking with the culture. It's a very slippery slope, but it's going to be something that like if you are serious about learning, you will just learn off rip. But like there is the textbook way of learning Japanese, like watashi wa 29歳です。私は天智です。私はフロリダのオランド人です。You know, that's just a bunch of statements, but you can basically shorthand all of that. You can just be saying, Tenji 29です。お先にフロリダです。Things like that. Hi, Fleku. That's like an example, right? So just like shorthanding the language, and that is something that you'll just have to learn. But before we get to that, just let's continue. So, Noda. Oops.
野田さんは韓国語ができますか？
韓国語はできますか？ Listen to that again.
3. 野田さんは韓国語ができますか？
韓国語はできますか？ Remember, because like, listen to that again.
2. 山田さんは中国語。
Oh, my bad. Oh, wrong one.
3. 野田さんは subject, right? Direction of the question. 韓国語ができます。
韓国語はできますか? You're noticing those two particles wa in there. Those are subject markers. Those are placeholder markers for directions of the context of the sentence. Wa and ga are interchangeable. There is no set rule for using either. It's something that my Japanese teacher just told me. It just sounds weird depending on whether you use ga or wa within a sentence. And I asked her, so how do we know? And she told me, it'll just sound right. I shit you not. And I asked her, like, can you please elaborate any further? And she said, no, I can't. There really is no rule essentially, there are a couple of like key points to understand when to use wa or ga, because both are subject markers, right? Hold on, let me question homework is finished. I now just need to do the final on Monday. Hell yeah, dude. So kind of like how Addison just have a set order. Yes. Right. Kind of sounds like when you use el and la in Spanish. Yeah. That's why, like, if you are a native Spanish speaker, right? Learning Japanese is a little bit easier. I shit you not. And speaking the language is a little easier as well. So if you are a Spanish speaker, you actually have a better... If you speak any of the Romantic languages, rather than the Gothic languages, you actually have a little bit of a better leg up in terms of learning Japanese than other people. So like wa and ga are interchangeable subject markers, right? What I try to stick to the most is ga. Ga is the subject marker whenever you're changing the focus of the changing the focus of the subject within a sentence. So you would go like, God, I can't think of the language just because of my known ineptness, but essentially, like, an example would be like, the dog in the Central Park went running. You at somewhere you would go like Inua and then something something park ga something something something, or you would go like something park wa something something inu ga ran, right? Because in that same sentence you have two subjects, the specific park, right, and then the specific animal, which would be the dog. So in that same sentence, in order for you to both literally, right, define the difference between those two subjects, would be the interchanging of wa, right? We're establishing the location, and then we're adding a new subject, and that subject is dictated by a ga, right? It's very weird. I'm just rambling at this point, but it is something to look out for. You'll see wa and ga as subject markers, and they're very interchangeable. And you might be saying, why the fuck did they use ga here instead of wa, or vice versa? And then you have to tell yourself, maybe that's just how it naturally feels. Like the vibes are off if you put wa instead of ga in this situation, and that's just something you'll have to fucking learn. That's literally what my fucking Japanese professor told me. In our speak, the vibes were off in terms of using ga instead of wa in this situation. That's it. I cannot explain that anymore. Anyway, let's move on. Did I see the group chat? Oh. Well, if you're all up for it, I can D&D tonight. Everything got postponed until further notice. Oh. 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 Hold on. It's 9, 10, 11, 12. I don't think it's possible because I have work in the morning. If we do it, if I wrap things up, because I haven't even finished this lesson. Yeah, I still have to finish this. I have still to finish this lesson here. Because we're still in combat. So the context of what Aegis is saying is that we have a D&D that we weren't sure we were going to do today, so I scheduled this today. Which is the reason why I want to do like D&Ds on Saturdays and Japanese on Sundays. But because Japanese essentially got canceled, I moved it to today. I don't know. We do have combat, so that could take 2 hours. If you guys want to wait like 1 hour, at 9 o'clock, I'll go ahead and post here. Could we do 9-10 p.m. EST and try combat for like 2 hours? Try to finish combat. Try to finish combat for like 2 hours. Cause like in our D&D campaign, we're in a combat situation. So there's not really any room for story. We just have to finish combat. So Aegis is on board. Okay, cool. Let me Aegis, let me know. Like, I'm gonna go back to focusing on the lesson. Just let me know if everyone is okay with that. If you can, thank you. I appreciate it. I want to make sure I dedicate this time to studying because I can't be distracted. Well, I want to finish this chapter first. Okay. Let's move on.
4
佐藤さんはアラビア語できますか？
すみません、できません。アラビア語は難しいですね。
There you go.
すみません、できません。
There's another vocab. So remember, she said, Noda-san. Hold on.
ですか？
いいえ
Hold on.
でき
3野田さんは韓国語ができますか？
いいえできません
ああ、そうですか。
できません. Iie, I can't. Iie, できません. Right? Let me see here. Iie, できません. That's just saying, no, I can't speak it, right? And then of course, there's the conversation of just accepting, like, reiterating and applying that, like, you understanding. Oh, so desu ka. Ah, so desu ne. Things like that. Now the next one, before that, Yamada said, 韓国は面白いです. 韓国語は面白いです. 面白いです. 面白い means interesting. Right? So, let me go back to that.
語できますか？はい。
はい。
できます。
できます. I
中
can.
国語は面白いです。
中国語は面白いです. 面白いです. That basically means like, yeah, Chinese is interesting. They're making a statement that like speaking and learning Japanese is interesting, right? But then we move on to Sato-san, which is the inverse of
アラ
that.
ビア語できますか？
アラビア語できますか? Can you speak your Arabic? To Sato-san?
すみません、でき。
すみません. You don't have to say, yeah, すみません. Sorry. すみません. Sorry, my apologies. できません. I can't. Sorry, I can't.
アラビア語は難しいですね。
fuck. アラビア語は難しいです. 難しいです. That's another vocabulary word. 難しい means hard, difficult, right? So they're saying アラビア語は難しいです. Arabic is difficult. That's the reasoning. すみません. できません. すみます. Right? Listen to that again.
すみません、できません。
すみません。できません。
アラビア語は難しいですね。
難しいですね. Isn't it difficult? Isn't Arabic difficult? You know? So, that's interesting that they ended it like that. They have no context to you all as to why, right? So before it was a statement. 中国語は面白いです. I think Chinese is interesting. I think Chinese is fun to speak. Things like that. Sato-san ended their statement with ですね, right? アラビア語は難しいですね. They're basically saying, isn't it difficult? Like it's like an inflection. ですね, right? You've heard it all the time, but this is like a statement right there. By her adding that little N, she's adding that little conversational flair. By saying like, right? Like, oh, it's hot, isn't it? Right? So like in regular English, we have the same thing where we're basically like, oh my god, it's so hot, right? It's that question. It's a rhetorical fucking question. You can feel that it's hot, right? So I'm doing it right now. It says like, so essentially it's the same thing. Like, Arabia go muzukashii desu ne. Yeah, no, no, I can't. Arabic is hard, isn't it? Same vibe, right? Let's go, Abe-san.
5安倍さんはドイツ語ができますか？はい、少しできます。今勉強中です。
Fun little vocab there. Let's listen to that again.
できますか？はい、安倍さんはドイツ語ができますか？
ドイツ語はできますか? Can you speak German? Right? And then she says,
はい、少しできます。
Hi, 少しできます. I can speak a little. And then she says something interesting at the end there.
今勉強中です。
Ima means right now. Or now. Or currently. Right? 勉強 is to study. 勉強 is to study. 勉強中 is the tense to this verb, right? 勉強中です, right?
勉強中です。今勉強中です。
Right now I'm studying it. 今勉強中です. I'm studying it right now, right? If you want to say in the past tense or currently doing so, it would be 勉強します. Currently studying. Or 勉強しまった. Or I just finished studying. It's like it's very much, there are ways to end the verb by adding a God, I don't even know what the word is in English, but it's like you add it towards the end of a verb to change the tense. Oh, it's literally the tense. Sorry. But there's multiple ways of doing it. And of course, grammatically, it changes. But in this certain situation, she's saying, Hi, 少しできます. 今、勉強中です. Right now I'm studying it. And then she responds,
勉強中。へえ、そうですか。
勉強中。そうですか。
勉強中。へえ、そうですか。
These are the reiteration that you are understanding what she's saying. She's saying, oh, studying, huh? Wow, kind of thing. All right. Oh, hold on. Bum, bum, bum. All right, let's move on to the next one. Oh, this is just kind of like a practice here, right? どっちから中国です。そうですか。中国できますか？はい、できます。はい、少しできます。勉強中です。いえ、できません。Things like that. So what we reiterate already. Next one. What's this? お仕事は this is like going over like general questions. Remember, this chapter is like greetings, conversations, and questions and things like that. Right? お仕事 お仕事 means job. Right? お仕事 employment, things like that. Adding the wa with a questioning inflection is a shorthand Japanese way of saying work. Like direct translation is work, but of course that's not exactly what you're meaning within the context of the question, asking where do you work or what do you work as, and that's the question here, right? And then we have the vocab that we're gonna be going through here. Let's see. Bum, bum, bum. All right.
お仕事は
私は主婦です。
So, this might, this is gonna be really fucking weird to say. This might seem misogynist. But within the Japanese language, a housewife is a job. That's what shufu means. Right? Oshigoto wa, where do you work? What do you do for employment? What is your work? Whatever, blah 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 blah. The entire the correct form, like the formal way of asking this, Oshigoto wa nan desu ka? Right? If you want to make it into a complete sentence, you say nan desu ka? What is, right? And then you have the subject of what you're asking. Oshigoto, work, subject, nan desu ka? What is? So it's work, what is? Question mark. Oshigoto wa nan desu ka? And then, but you're shorthanding it. Oshigoto wa? This person said shufu desu, which is housewife. Oshigoto dekimasen. You forgot the wa. Oshigoto wa, which is a subject marker. So you're missing the particle. And that can work. Oh. One second. Let's see there. So like what you're saying, oshigoto wa dekimasen is basically means I cannot work or I'm unable to work. So that means a little bit different. If you want to say like I don't work or I don't have a job, let me double check something. Yeah. Like there is a word for unemployed. Like if you want to say I am unemployed, of course you can say watashi wa, but of course we're within the context of just like mushoku desu. Mushoku means unemployed person. So I am an unemployed person. Watashi wa mushoku desu. Mushoku desu. That's the statement. I am unemployed. Right? But if you want to say I don't work or I don't have a job, you would say shigoto, which means work, ga nai. Nai in that sentence means it doesn't exist, or it is a negative of the noun. So in the context of you saying it, right? For more conversational, it's like I don't have work or a job, you would say shigoto ga nai. There is no work. I don't have work. I don't work. You can be, there's multiple ways of saying you're unemployed. Of course, there's also multiple ways of you just saying that you are employed, things like that. But you can just say, if you say I don't want to work, that's completely different. You would say shigoto shitaku nai. Shi, right, in the kanji of how it is to do. By adding shitaku means like wanting, but then adding nai at the end of it is the opposite. So don't want to do, and then you have shigoto shitaku nai, right? All right. And there's like a lot of upper level grammar and mixing around in here, but essentially like there's multiple ways of doing. But for the purpose of not getting too ahead of ourselves, we're asking the question: Oshigoto wa nan desu ka? Or oshigoto wa, what do you do for work? This person says shifu desu. I'm a housewife. 2.
2、
お仕事は
お仕事は
エンジニアです。
engineer です。I'm an engineer. Easy.
3、お仕事は
お仕
何です
事は
か？
何ですか？
公
公
務員です。
務員です。公務員です。I think. Fuck, what does that mean actually? Because that's not a, I think that means like a manager or something like that. Let me double check. Because remember, I'm teaching myself again. So, 公務員. Oh, my bad. Moon. Oh, civil servant, public employee, government employee, government servant, things like that. 公務員 is public duty member personnel, things like that. That's what the kanji is basically saying. So this person's saying I am a civil servant in whatever fucking field. You can be as specific as you want when you learn the language, but that's essentially the word for civil servant. 公務員. All right. 4.
4、
4.
お仕事は
お仕事は
会社員です。
会社員です。God, another one that's a little weird. Because they're... I think that means customer service. Office worker, company employee, white collar worker. Of course, like these are like the basic vocabularies and nouns for certain jobs and things like that, but that is like the catch-all term for someone who works in a company. Someone who is an office worker. 会社員です. And then of course, similar to the word to the way that like being a housewife is a job, being a student is a job just as much as being a teacher is a job, right? 教師 is instructor. 教師 is instructor. It is synonymous with teacher, right? But you don't really refer to yourself as a sensei. People will refer to you as a sensei, but in terms of like formal way, if you are an instructor or a professor, 教師です, and then 学生. 学生. Essentially, yeah. Right. Because your occupation can be a student. I'm a full-time student. Things like that. Oh god, I'm hungry. Yeah. So educator, instructor, things like that. Because like sensei, you wouldn't use in the terms of like describing yourself. I'm not sure. I don't know. Pretty hungry. Like I didn't really eat that much. I have to eat after this. I have to make myself something. There was some like burgers I had been defrosting and things like that, but it's not defrosted yet, unfortunately. Might be like once I'm done. But essentially, right? Sensei, right, is an honorific. But you don't really say that sensei this when you're responding to this question. If for whatever reason one of you becomes a teacher or instructor, you don't refer to yourself as a sensei. Oh, okay, sorry. But yeah, you don't refer to yourself as a sensei. That is a honorific title. The way san, kun, chan, dono, things like that is an honorific. So I am Tenji sensei whenever you refer to me, right? Because it's the honorific. But if I'm going to refer to myself, when you ask me, お仕事は?教師です or Vtuber です. I'm a Vtuber. That's my occupation. Alright. Moving on.
Go.
Oh, that's everything actually.
お仕事
Alright. What's your job? 学生. そうですか. 私は主婦です. Or you can just say fucking remove that 私は and just say 主婦です. Point to yourself. Right? Oh, interesting. this is etiquette. This part is etiquette. We can actually go through this pretty soon, pretty quickly. Let me double check something. Excuse me. Let me see here. This is like something, this is like, I can't really teach you much besides the fact that here's a little simple lesson. If someone hands you their business card in Japan, in a Japanese country, I don't know how many people here work in companies or work at that level. If by any moment you are interacting and you are basically like an ambassador or relations or things like that, and you're sent to speak with the Japanese agents, right? If one of them hands you your business card, you do not, and I repeat, you do not put them in your business card holder immediately, right? You could, and you just treat it like any other business partners, like, oh, thank you, I have your information, I appreciate it, blah 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 blah, and you, of course, business is business, and you keep on going about your day. But if you are, for whatever reason, are in charge of relations between Japanese clients, and you want to make sure that you maintain in good standings, and that you are interested in the partnership, and that you are interested in understanding the harmony between you and this foreign company, then you do not put away their business cards. You put them on your desk. Before you do that, you look at them, acknowledge every aspect of them, look at their name, look at their title, understand, like, this is like a formality where you are analyzing their business card. Even though, like, of course, if you're given a business card, it's like, oh, that's your name, that's your number, great, I know how to reach you and things like that. But this is a representation of that person's professional career, and to them, it is very serious. Yes, Fran, I didn't want to make that joke, but yes. You essentially have to treat it like that fucking scene in Psycho, but without the murderous intent. You have to analyze it and show that you are genuinely interested in how this person has basically put their entire identity in this very small interaction before even beginning any sort of communication with this Japanese correspondent. So you take it with two hands, right? はじめまして、フランです。どうぞよろしくお願いします。はじめまして、テンジです。どうぞよろしく。You take it with two hands, you bring it to you, and you not analyze it. You look over the name, you trace your thumbs over everything, you look it over. And then when you're done, like a suitable amount of time, let's say like 15 to 20 seconds of you looking and showing to this person that you understand and respect their, like, because this is their life, essentially. They've just handed you their entire professional identity. And that's how the Japanese see themselves, right? So you have to treat it as such. And then once you're done, you put it right there in front of you to make sure that it is within eye shot. You don't put it away until after you're done with the meeting. That's that is me re-teaching what my professor had told me in terms of etiquette. So you look at it longingly. You make sure is that scene they literally put the sons of katanas in sheathing when they pull out their cards. But yeah, and then you put it where everyone can see it, that you acknowledge that these are the people you're dealing with, and like you acknowledge that their professional etiquettes and their general professionalism. And that's just the polite and formal way to do. So I'm not sure how many people are going to listen to this, but if you are going to be interacting with any Japanese company agents, just make sure you know that, because it will give you so many brownie points with that person. All right. That is going to be it, because we're gonna have to go into this chapter later. Because we are ending things short, by the way, because I do want to because we did have plans for D&D today. I'm going to leave this stream for tomorrow. So we're gonna finish the second chapter in section 4 tomorrow. So if you guys, for the people here like just listening and don't really understand what's going on and you don't really know the language, I'm just reteaching myself by teaching you. So I'm not a professional, but I am learning what I learned after like 3 years of studying Japanese and trying to like get back my fundamentals so that I can get back into deeper studying. So that's essentially what I'm doing. And I wanted to like keep myself accountable, right? By streaming it so that I don't fucking procrastinate like I always do. So this is just me streaming is just more so putting a spotlight at me so that I can actually sit down and learn, and in essence give you guys a little bit of extra something to learn yourself. So we're gonna continue this section tomorrow around the same time, let's say 6 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll wrap up chapter 2. Okay, thank you guys for being here. I am going to get some food situated and I will be ending stream early and seeing you guys later tomorrow. Thank you so much. Hope you have a really good night. Bye bye.